Hello, Lavinia. How are you?
Good, and how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Getting dark here in Liverpool. Light shining over there in Alberta, Canada.
Yeah, my day's kind of just starting. Yours is ending.
It is indeed, yeah.
Well,
Big day for you.
I was just gonna say, congratulations on your 100 subscribers. That's
Oh,
awesome.
well, thanks very much. But you know what? I took the numbers off, so I was going to pretend that there was a million, but I'm just lying.
You
Wishful
gotta
think.
have
Oh, it's just wishful thinking.
yeah, you'll get there one day.
I think so, yeah. Well, it shot up a couple of weeks ago. It was only like about 25, but it's gone up. Hello there. What's his name or her name?
Hi, Harold.
Harold. Hello,
This is
Harold.
Sir.
He's big, isn't he? What the hell?
Oh yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
That's okay. You can join us, buddy.
It's like a mini line.
Yeah, he is. He's big and he's floofy.
Oh, it's a big day for you today, isn't it?
It is. It's my book launch for Martha Holmes Mysteries. So that comes out today. It's a novella. It's about I think it's about 30,000 words.
Okay.
But it's about a private investigator who's just going through a divorce, and then a big cold case comes across her desk.
Yeah.
So she's stuck in this spot of a lot of changes, both personally and career-wise.
Okay. This is the first in a series. Martha Holmes Mysteries, book number 1, The Lost Girls. Have you got others in the pipeline?
It is a series. Yeah. Pardon?
Have you got others in the pipeline? Have you started on them?
Not really. This book actually kind of started as just an experiment. I didn't actually plan on publishing it so soon, but I did.
Okay.
So I don't really have an idea of what the character arcs or the entire series storyline is going to be yet, but I'm working on it.
Be careful, there's something behind you. Another one. What's the other cat's name?
Oh yes, that is Kimmy.
Kimmy. Not as
Kimmy,
big as Harold.
No, he's a little guy.
Yeah. Was he scared of Harold?
Yeah, I have 4 cats, so they all might make an appearance.
Oh, that's good. I was talking to it was I can't remember, but the cat's name was Terry, and I just seemed a bit odd. Same name as me. So what's happening with the other book series then, Beyond Dark? You've got
Beyond Dark. I have the second book in the editing process right now, so I'm just doing some rewrites and edits on it. I'm hoping to have that out later this year.
Okay, that's Gravedigger, is that?
Gravedigger is what it's called, yeah. So Alyssa and Thayer go from Ottawa to Alberta, where there's a female serial killer burying people alive.
Lovely.
Yeah, right. So that's the second book, and then also in book 2, we see Alyssa sort of recover from what she went through in Belladonna, because that case was fairly traumatizing for her.
Yeah. And
then with Thayer being her new partner, they still have to build on their new partnership and figuring that out and how to work together further.
Okay. Alyssa, she's an FBI agent, isn't she?
I created a fictional law enforcement agency called the International Crime Bureau. So she's an ICB agent, but it's basically the same premise.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, can I ask? You mentioned this on your website as well. There's a major theme in all of your work. It's about survival. Yes. How much of your own background do you put into the writing?
I put a lot of my own background, my own emotions into the stories. For example, with Beyond Dark, that came from a place of just needing to recover from where my mental health was at the time, because it was pretty rock bottom when I started writing that.
Yeah. And
then with Martha Holmes, that kind of started as a place of just needing to vent about my divorce and sort of recovering from that, and how to come back as well. When you start over in your 30s, is kind of a terrifying place to be.
Yeah.
So to go from being married and kind of feeling like you've caught up with your friends in that sense, to all of a sudden being divorced and single and having to start over again, where your friends are all married with kids and they have careers and all of that. So you're just kind of sitting back watching, well, what did I do wrong? Yeah. And where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
So Martha Holmes sort of came from that place, and having to sort of explore that theme of starting over in your 30s.
Yeah. Did it actually help you overcome these emotions and difficulties?
It did, because in Martha Holmes, the first book, I sort of faced it head on. I went into writing about the actual breakup itself and catching him cheating and having to process the feelings afterwards. So yeah, it was incredibly therapeutic.
Okay. Can I ask you about the publishing? You've gone down the indie route, haven't you? Self-publishing.
I have, yes. I've self-published both of my books.
Did you go through the normal horror and pain of trying to connect with a traditional publisher?
I did when I was younger. Yeah, when I was younger, I wrote fantasy and I went through the querying process and got rejection after rejection. And it just came to the point where it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like self-publishing, with the creative control I'd maintain and the ability to keep most of my royalties and to have my own publishing schedule and not reliant on someone else to publish a year or two down the road. I can do it on my own time.
It takes forever, doesn't it, that process?
It does. And I understand, because they've got like multiple books on the go. Normally they've got to edit, they've got to do all that production side of things. So I get why they take so long, but at the same time, a lot of us authors just want to do it on our own time, right?
Yeah. And plus, I know quite a few writers I've spoken to, they've said like 6 months, a year down the line, they spotted a glaring typo that they were blind to originally. And it's so easy to go back and edit, isn't it? You know, put it back on and have it out again within the next day or the day after.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. And that's another upside of self-publishing, is I can go into Draft to Digital and Amazon, update like the typos or whatever it is I need to, and then it's out again. You're not having to contact the publisher and say, hey, can we fix this?
It'll take about 6 months, I suppose.
If
at all. Is it 4 books in total then that you've got out? You've got the Beyond Dark, you've got the new release, the novella, and there's a couple of books on poetry. Melting Candles.
Melting Candles is just the one I have right now, and that was another therapeutic one that I wrote about my childhood. I lived with a lot of domestic violence as a kid, and 10 years of sexual abuse. So the poetry book I did as sort of therapy for me, and hopefully can help other people.
Yeah. Was there another one? I'm not sure if it's still published. She Wasn't Allowed to Giggle. Is this another poetry book?
That was the first edition of Melting Candles. I had titled. Yeah,
I see. The covers then, do you design them yourself? Some brilliant covers. I like, especially the Beyond Dark, the Gravedigger, quite a stark image. You know, that tells the story, what's going to happen.
Yeah, the Gravedigger one I did myself. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that one. But the others, when I actually publish them, I'm going to, I do pre-made covers. Like I buy pre-made covers for them.
Yeah.
And you can get some lovely ones. Like I go on to selfpubbookcovers.com.
Yeah.
And you can get some really lovely covers from them. So I make mine like start just for when I'm like advertising, but I will probably get a different one down the road.
Okay. Can I ask you about advertising and marketing? What do you social? I know we chatted on Twitter. We're both. Well, do you use other social media platforms for your marketing?
I do. Yeah, I do Facebook sparingly. There's really not a lot of marketing to be done on Facebook these days, just because of how much they limit your reach. I also do TikTok and I do Instagram.
Okay. What, putting images of the books?
I do. I'll do like excerpt images. So I'll do like an image and I'll put like an excerpt on it. Or say with TikTok, that's where I post my book trailers and stuff like that. You saw in my book launch thread there, those were my TikTok videos.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of play around and see what works. And my Instagram stuff, I'll also like post my TikTok videos there. I'll cross post them.
Yeah.
And so they'll go onto Instagram Reels.
Okay. Yeah, but before I forget, I think I asked you this last time, but I'm going to ask it again. On Twitter, you use the name Broken Flashbacks and Whiskey. What's that about? Does the whiskey cause the broken flashbacks?
No, not quite. That was just a line in a poem I had years ago.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of stuck as a username.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at Harold. He looks really comfortable. Is he pairing away?
Oh yeah, he's very joyful right now.
Have you got a copy nearby of the Martha Holmes Mysteries?
I don't have a paperback yet. I'm going to be ordering some here real soon.
Okay, because I know on the Twitter you've been advertising, it's available for pre-order.
It is, yeah. It was available for pre-order for ebook and paperback, and as of today, it's just available to order in general. So
okay, and where can people order it from?
You can go on to almost any retailer: Amazon, Indigo, Barnes and Nobles, any of those main retailers. So it's available. Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you what is Patreon? Been looking at your website today. What's that about? Can you explain it? Tell me more about it.
Patreon was something I started. I haven't done much with it just because I don't have any followers there yet.
Okay.
But Patreon is basically you can get people to subscribe to your work, and you can post extra short stories and chapters and stuff like that, extra character stuff, and you can kind of give your readers, your followers, just a bit more content other than your books.
Okay.
I know I've seen a few writers on Patreon or on TikTok who make quite a bit of extra money on Patreon, which is great to see. So it's just another avenue of sharing your work and getting followers.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you said something else then. So it's I suppose it's like a DVD. When you buy a DVD, sometimes you get extras in there from the director and the actors, giving a bit more in-depth stuff about the characters.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask you about editing? With you being self-published, do you use beta readers, or have you got somebody who does the edits for you?
I have a couple beta readers, and then I usually hire an editor.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah. Just give that professional once-over.
Exactly. Yeah, because a lot of times, I can edit, but a lot of times my copy editing or my proofreading isn't quite up to par, and I'll miss punctuation or I'll miss certain grammar rules, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Of course, yeah. You always need a second pair of eyes, don't you, think? Because you come blind, especially if you're that familiar with the story that you're writing.
Yeah, you can only read your own work 100 times over before you're also sick of looking at it.
Yeah.
And so you almost need a second opinion that someone else to go over and say, well, this is where it could be better. There's typos here. Your person's out of character here. What are they doing? Yeah.
Did you edit forever? Do you know when to stop, or would you carry on forever editing?
I could carry on forever, but yeah, it's really important to know when to stop editing. With Belladonna, I went over it I don't know how many times, and that came to a point where I had to say, okay, this is the best it's going to get right now.
Yeah.
And that's another great thing about self-publishing is if you ever want to go back and rewrite and edit that book, you can.
Yeah.
And you can re-release it as a second edition.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really do that with a publisher.
Yeah, true. Your website, who designed that? Have you paid a professional to design?
No, I did the website myself.
That looks superb. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It took me forever.
Okay. You work in education?
I'm a high school janitor.
Yeah. What reaction are you getting? You're telling people you work close by, you're a writer and you got your books coming out. Are you getting any feedback?
Oh yeah. Actually last year when I was at work, I was talking to one of the teachers, and I told her, oh yeah, I write in my spare time and so on and so forth. She's like, oh, what do you write? And I said mystery. And then the word got out to the entire school because I hadn't really said it at that point. This was shortly after I'd released Belladonna. Yeah. And so then everybody knew. And now everyone's like, when's that second book coming out? I'm like, this year, it's coming, guys. So I'm positive feedback from it, which is really
Yeah. Are you doing anything? Are you going to any book launches? Are you going to be doing a signing? You going doing an appearance in the library or somewhere?
I'm not doing anything at this time. Our COVID numbers in Alberta here are pretty high still, so I'm just kind of making it a digital book launch, and then we'll see what happens down the road. Okay. I'd love to do a book signing down the road, do an in-person event, but right now I'm just waiting for our numbers to go down.
What is the situation there? I know in the UK, I don't agree with it personally, but all restrictions have now been taken away. There's no restrictions whatsoever. You don't have to wear a mask anywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at too. So in Canada with our healthcare, it's run by our provinces. It's not run by the federal government. It's up to each individual province to deal with healthcare. Yeah. So our healthcare mandates have always been provincially implemented. Yeah. And so here in Alberta, our provincial government has lifted pretty much, I think all of our mandates now were lifted as of March 1st.
Yeah, but the numbers are going up.
Yeah, as far as I know, last time I checked, they were still on the rise.
Oh dear.
I think our hospitalizations decreased, but I think our case numbers are still going up. And who knows, right? Because with nobody testing anymore, nobody's keeping track anymore. It's just, it's been kind of a mess over here in Alberta.
Was it? Same here. Yeah. They were initially, all the testing kits, they were all free, but I think from now, I think you have to pay for them. So obviously, I think there's not going to be that many reported infections simply because nobody's testing for it.
Yeah.
Just to go back to your writing, have you got a writing routine? Is it a regular, you're a night writer? Do you write early in the morning? What's your routine?
I usually write, like, I'll have a few hours before work because I work evenings. So I'll get up and I'll have a few hours before work that I'll do some writing. I'll do my book marketing stuff. What are you doing? And then at night when I get home, I'll sit down for a couple hours and write as well. So I get a good few hours of writing in per day.
Okay. What, do you have like a set number of words as a target, or is just
Not
however?
really, kind of whatever happens.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll write and then I'll get sidetracked. Oh, I should go do a character profile for this person, or I should go, brainstorm for a chapter for this, or whichever, right?
Yeah. Well, what are you working on at the moment? Are you finishing off the Gravedigger? Have you started something else?
I've got I think I'm up to almost chapter 10 with rewriting Gravedigger. So I'm getting almost to the halfway point of that. Yeah. And then I have book 3 written for Beyond Dark, and that's called One More Light.
Yeah.
And that kind of revolves around Alyssa. They're going to, they deal with an assassin there in Ottawa, and it kind of becomes a mafia case. And then I cross it over with one of the undercover agents who ends up in London in some trouble. And then I have book 4 started. I'm at chapter, I don't even remember what chapter I'm on with that book. I have too much going on.
Sounds like, yeah.
I think I'm almost at chapter 10 with that one too. Yeah. And that has Alyssa and Thayer going to Las Vegas. Yeah. And there's a female serial killer there who is a magician, and she's like killing fellow people in the magician community.
Oh, making them disappear.
Yeah, literally, yes.
She's sorting them in half.
Pretty much, yeah. So I have up to book 4 of Beyond Dark, sort of I'm working on that. And then I have the second book from Martha Holmes started. And so with Martha Holmes, because she and her friend Daisy sort of started working on cold cases in book 1, I'm going to continue that theme of cold cases and finding people and finding answers.
Okay.
At the same time, her character arc sort of focuses on her healing from her divorce and moving on. Yeah. So that's as far as I've gotten with Martha Holmes as well.
That sounds like your hands full. Well, what kind you mentioned that they go to different places around the world, come to London, Vegas. What kind of research you've been doing? Is it just the top of your head? Are you using Google, local library reference?
Yeah, with my first drafts, I just kind of Google as I go.
Yeah.
So if I need to see something or find something, I just kind of like look it up as I go along. And then in my second draft, when I'm rewriting stuff, for example, with Gravedigger, in my rewrites is set in Alberta, which I'm very familiar with. I know Alberta really well. I've been here for 8 years. Yeah. There's just every place has a different vibe to it, different people, different culture, and even like different towns you find have like just different ways of being, different ideas. For example, here in Alberta, in southern Alberta, it's very religious, very conservative. But if you go up north with Alberta, you have certain areas that do vote our New Democratic Party or Liberal Party. You do have like those dots of orange and red amidst like the sea of blue that vote conservative. Yeah. So with researching books, you're not only looking at what a place looks like, you're looking at its culture and what the people are like, and sort of the atmosphere of it. With Las Vegas, for example, with book 4, I was talking to a friend on Twitter there who lives in Vegas, and she was telling me all about it. She said, yeah, that kind of outlaw mafia culture really stuck with Vegas. Yeah. Of course, you go to the Strip, and of course, Vegas was founded by mobsters. So that's really is kind of a cool vibe. I've never been to Vegas myself. I'd love to go.
I would.
Yeah, just to get that vibe of, and then she was telling me, well, people hear stories all the time of bodies being found in the desert and like burnt out cars or just like out in the middle of nowhere. And it happens out here. I'm like, oh boy, that's good stuff. Yeah. So like and then she also told me with people who live in Las Vegas or have like grown up there and still live there, they do have like Las Vegas, like memorabilia in their house, like Las Vegas signs and stuff like that. People are very proud to live there. So that was really cool to learn. You learn those little tidbits of people and their lives and how they view their own town.
Yeah. With I don't know, doing the research and thinking in terms of Agent Elisa, do you find that your characters, they sort of come alive and from their own accord, you know, from moving away from maybe what you got planned? You know, do they move in their own direction? Do they have their own voice?
They really do. And it's fun because Alyssa and Thayer are just so different. Alyssa's sort of more, she's quiet, she's serious, she's introverted. But she'll kind of spark to life in certain situations. For example, in the Vegas book, it's called Magic Touch. In Magic Touch there, with the first magician that Alyssa encounters, Maeve, Maeve is very abrasive, sort of very hard to get along with.
Yeah.
But Alyssa's the exact same way. So when they clash and they start butting heads, it's, you know, you really get to see Alyssa's side when she's angry.
Yeah. Instead
of what we saw in, for example, book 1, where she was more withdrawn and just trying to like keep it together from her mental breakdown. And then Thayer, her partner, he's very extroverted, very effervescent. You can almost call him a little puppy dog because he's just always joyful about life. There's always something to be happy for, right? So he and Alyssa are like polar opposites. And then he's thrilled to be in Vegas with these magicians and to be able to see magician shows. And he drags Alyssa to a magic show, and he's just thrilled. He's just thrilled to be in a new place. He's always ready for adventure.
Yeah.
And so you see those come to life in like certain situations, certain spots you put them in. Whereas sometimes Alyssa will like spark to life and just start mouthing off at someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she necessarily shouldn't, but she does anyways. And then you get Thayer, who will just like step in with him being like purely empathetic and able to really talk to people in a very calm and compassionate way. And you just see those little tidbits of their personalities come out. It's really fun.
Okay. I'm looking forward to reading that, you know. I like the idea that, and I've been thinking about that in the background, killing the magicians. That's quite original. I don't think I've read or seen films, anything about that. Where did you get that idea from?
You know what? I don't know. It was a short story I wrote in high school.
Yeah.
So I don't know what teenage me was thinking that we could write about magicians, but we have no idea about magicians. But it's fine. It was a short story I wrote in school for English class, and my teacher really loved it.
Yeah.
We still have a copy of it, and you know, and I always just wanted to rewrite it into a novel. So I figured, well, I'll take it and I'll put it into Beyond Dark, and I can turn it into a female serial killer.
Okay. Yeah. I've got a lot of your original materials. You know, do you keep it away in a little box somewhere? Stuff that you wrote years ago.
I do, yeah. I did lose like most of my stuff. I lost all my stuff in a house fire back in 2004. So everything before 2004 is gone, basically.
Yeah.
I had fantasy books, I had poetry, I had journals, I had all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
but
awful.
everything since then I've kept. So I've kept all my poetry, I've kept my journals, I've kept the novels I've written.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned the English teacher. Is that where you got your first encouragement for writing from, this English teacher?
I started writing when I was a kid. I was maybe 5 or 6 when I started just writing random short stories. But my teacher, grade 7, she would have been my grade 7 teacher.
What age is that? Grade 7?
I would have been like 12, 13, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would have been my grade 7 language arts teacher, and she was very encouraging. She'd read my stuff, and you know, she could see right away that something was wrong at home, because that was during the time that, you know, I was going through the abuse and stuff. And through my writing, she was the one who sort of saw what was going on. Yeah. And she pulled me aside and say, like, are you okay? Is everything at home okay? Yeah. So she was the first one who made me feel seen.
Okay.
At a time when I didn't.
Did she raise an alarm on your behalf?
She did not. There was just a lot going on at the time that the cops were already involved. There was just, you know, the cops were already involved. There was already a lot of people involved. So she didn't raise the alarm there. Yeah. But she stuck with me, and she talked to me, and she encouraged me to write and to keep writing. And she believed in me, which was incredible.
Okay.
And she still does. I'm still friends with her on Facebook today.
Brilliant. Yeah. Is that all in the past now? Are you over all of this now? I know maybe you can't be 100%, but you're mostly over this horrible background.
For the most part, yeah, I've gone through a lot of therapy. I still do a lot of like self-therapy journaling and stuff. You always get stuff that comes up that's triggering. I have complex PTSD and I have depression, but you know, you take it day by day, and sometimes moment by moment, it depends. But yeah, for the most part, I'm getting through it.
Okay. Do you find that people reach out to you because you've been through this and you come out as a survivor, that they reach out for your help and advice?
There have been times over the years, yeah, that's happened. Yeah.
That must be a wonderful thing to sort of give back and to be able to help somebody.
It is, you know, years ago when I had Melting Candles out as She Wasn't Allowed to Giggle, I had an organization that helps like abused children and stuff reach out to me wanting to put the book into one of their poetry workshops.
Yeah.
And I said, sure, yeah. And then I talked to them a little while after that, and they said, yeah, it's, you know, it's gone over really well in our poetry workshops, and the kids are really embracing it. So that was really cool to know that it actually went somewhere to help other kids.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Well, what's your ambitions as a writer? Is it the normal ones? You want to become a bestseller. You want a film and television company to come knock on the door. Here's £1 million, sell us the film rights.
Right, yeah, that'd be great. Honestly, I'd be happy if I just had like a comfortable, like full-time income, if I could, you know, just stay at home and write full-time and that kind of thing. I don't even necessarily want to be rich.
Yeah.
Comfortable, just the ability to stay home and create and write and do my thing full-time instead of having to go to work for 8 hours a day.
Yeah. How are you encouraging reviews? That's sort of one of the main things regarding success as a writer. I know it's sort of like drawing blood from a stone to get people to leave a review, even a couple of words.
It is, yeah. I don't have many reviews right now on Beyond Dark. I have 1 5-star review on Amazon. You know, that first year of trying to get sales is really rough unless you have like a lot of money to like throw at ads. If you have, you know, whatever, which I don't have money to be throwing at paid ads. So I don't go that route. It's just a lot of social media and stuff like that. I'm going to start approaching book reviewers and, you know, on Amazon, or not on Amazon, Instagram and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes.
What's that? I don't use Instagram myself, but what is the people that you can go to and say, I'll do a review, like a professional reviewer?
Either professional reviewers, you can, like those are people you could pay for reviews. There's also people who just post book reviews for the fun of it. They just enjoy, and they'll post for the fun of it. And it really just depends, right? Because you got to find book reviewers who actually read in your genre versus approaching, say, a romance book reviewer would be kind of pointless, right?
Yeah, true, yeah.
Because you're a romance reviewer looking for something happy and fluffy, does not want to read about serial killers.
Can I ask, 30 minutes or 35 minutes has flown. My God.
Oh, yeah, wow.
And we've kept our connection as well. The internet hasn't fell off.
This time we did good.
It's always good, isn't it? Yeah. Can I ask maybe a final question? What advice would you give to a new writer, someone who thinks they've got a story in their head but they haven't started actually putting words on paper? How would you encourage them or advise them?
I would say just start writing it, just start putting it down on paper. Like, you can figure stuff out as you go. Even honestly, after the amount of time I've been writing, that's still all I do. I'll take my basic idea, my basic characters and stuff, and just start writing it, because sometimes if you sit with that idea too long, or you think, oh, I need to outline, or I need to actually like plan this out scene by scene, you don't. You know, if you don't want to, if outlining is not your thing, then just start at a spot and keep going. Just remember that everything can be edited, everything can be rewritten, but you cannot edit a blank page.
True. Yeah.
If you don't ever write, it's never going to exist.
Yeah. Well, what I like to say to people is that nearly everyone, if you mention you're a writer, so I've got a book in my head. So you can't tap a desk with an idea. You can with a bit of paper.
Exactly. Yeah.
What is? Do you write out in longhand, or do you type as you're going along for your works in progress? Do you write it out in a notebook?
I type it up. Yeah, a lot of my notes and stuff are all handwritten, but the book itself I'll type up.
Okay. Yeah.
I grew up without a computer, actually, so I used to write all my books out longhand.
Yeah.
So I used to do everything longhand up until we got a computer in my late teens. So I was one of those 90s kids one of those last generations that grew up without a computer. So
I found that it sort of looks different. When you're writing, it's more sort of personal. You've got your own, I don't know, your own, more of your own style on. But it looks sort of colder on the page, on a white page. You're typing along. Looks like someone else has written it.
It does. You kind of go back, you go, did I write that? I don't remember writing that.
Who typed this?
Right? And that can be either good or bad. Sometimes you go and go, hey, that's kind of brilliant. Did I write that? And other times you go, oh, boy, what did I do?
Do you know what I did? Going back about 10 years ago, I started writing a novel. And for whatever reason, I left it. But I typed it up. I was sort of skiving in work. I was sitting in a corner. So I was typing up this. Anyhow, we moved house and I found a box with these, I don't know, this typed up couple of pages in it. I started reading it thinking, bloody hell, that's good. Wonder where they get this from. Whoa, I wrote that. I'd forgotten all about it. I surprised myself.
That's funny. That's always fun when that happens.
Yeah. It's very rare.
It is.
For me.
It is. That was like when I found like that magician short story from high school. I was kind of going through stuff. Same thing. I think I just moved or something.
Yeah.
I was just cleaning my storage room there and I came across it. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Because I used to draw a lot in high school too, so I drew the cover art and everything for it. And I'm going through reading. I'm like, well, it's not that well written. It was I was a teenager, right? I'm like, it's not that well written, but it's a great idea, and I think
it is. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's a brilliant idea. Yeah. I think someone's looking for attention there behind you.
Yeah. Hi, buddy. Hey. How you doing?
Lavinia, it's been brilliant chatting to you again.
Absolutely, yes. It's always great.
Yeah. So let's keep in touch anyway, as we have been on Twitter.
Totally, absolutely.
Okay, I'm very best of luck with the launch as well with today with the Lost Girls.
Thank you very much, and good luck with your YouTube channel. It's looking like it's taking off.
Oh, touch wood anyway. Yeah.